Hello, my beautiful village. Lady Lynette Williams here. I am hopefully going to give you a comprehensive, detailed, yet as brief as possible, introduction to the world of leadership. This video is designed to give you a bird's eye view of what a yes to leadership looks like. And I want to do this video because you are in no way obligated to accept the invitation to leadership. You are watching this video because either someone has recommended you and you have said, yes, I'm interested, but I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. Or you are a person who has led before, has taken some time off, however long that may be, and are coming back to see what the new requirements are. Or you are a person who has graduated, was not necessarily recommended for leadership, but you feel like you would be a good candidate to continue to further the mission of our village, which is to grow and expand, change generations, one soul at a time. So I'm going to go through all of the processes, our 40-day turn up, our Journey 3.0 Plus process, as well as our newest addition, which is our reset process. The only ask that I have of you is to watch the entire video, because some persons may say, oh my gosh, I love the 40-day turn up so much. I definitely want to coach in the 40-day turn up. But maybe the journey or reset may be a great alignment with you, maybe not necessarily now, but maybe down the line. I want to send a special ask to my fellas, my gentlemen, for your support in this endeavor. We always have a shortage of males, not because we don't have qualified people who graduate and who are our legends who graduate, but because our female to male ratio is always going to be that the females are going to significantly outweigh the males. But we have noticed that more and more males are getting into the process, whether it be through their spouses, whether it be through recommendations from one of their friends or family members. Regardless, the guys are here. So if you are watching this video and you happen to be a gentleman, please, sir, please consider joining our leadership team. It's a great time over here. All right, so let me get started. I have a couple of notes. So if you see me look down, this is because I want to give you as much information as I can, as quickly as I can, as thoroughly as I can. So I'll start with the 40-day turn-up process. So the 40-day turn-up process is the initial process of how people come into the village. Every year, every session. So normally we have 2 40-day turn-up sessions and 1 Journey 3.0 Plus session, as well as 2 reset sessions as of now. But that always changes. I always like to say leadership is an ever evolving thing, and the only thing, shout out to the Hawk Ave, she always says flow with Dr. Joe, because 2024 looked completely different than 2025. I'm certain at some point in 2026 will look completely different than 25, and so forth. So as of right now, this is how it's going to go. So the 40-day turn up is the initial process of how people are brought into the village. They are given either tickets from Journey 3.0 Plus graduates, or they have seen the advertisement and they have taken the opportunity amongst themselves to pay the registration fee, register for the process, and then get into the process. The process is, so all of the processes are 40 days, which you obviously know, but I just have to make certain that that is clear. All of the processes are 40 days, and that does not include usually 4 to 5 weeks of pre-work. In the 40-day turn-up, we have 3 levels of leadership. We have coaches, we have super leaders, and we have ambassadors. So our coaches are we call them our foot soldiers. These are the boots to the ground. These are people who have a group of anywhere from 12 to 14 people. Females are with females, males are with males. We do not do co-ed teams, as you know. A lot of this you may know, but from a leadership perspective, I just want you to understand some of the things that you've experienced, how you have experienced them. So we have female teams led by females, male teams led by males, and the coach is the responsible party. You know how like when you go somewhere and it says, who's going to pay for this? Who is responsible for this? The coach is the responsible party in this session. So the coaches are the persons who are setting up the group me for the group, or whatever text message, it could be Marco Polo, whatever the case may be, of communicating with the group. This is the person that's going to make certain that all of their group members are in the group, in the Facebook group, with an appropriate profile picture. This is the person that is going to make certain that the data collected by the participants is entered correctly and in time each and every Saturday. The way that the current system runs is that the participants are putting their own information, their own metrics into the tracker system, and the coach's responsibility is to check it. So the coach's responsibility is not to enter the information unless it's previously communicated. It's an emergency situation, which is a change from how it used to be years ago. So the coach is responsible for making certain that the information is accurate. The coach is responsible for having weekly meetings with the group. The coach is responsible for keeping up to date with Dr. Joe's information, whether it be a live session, whether it be the pre-work session, whether it be the master class, whatever Dr. Joe does on Facebook, that is the responsibility of the coach, not only to make certain that they are a part and know what's going on, but also to make certain that their participants are also aware and up to speed. It is also the coach's responsibility when we do have training. So this isn't the only video that you're going to hear about training and what that entails. The leadership team and the training department, we have specific trainings only for the 40-day turn-up. So we usually have about 3 to 5 trainings before we get started. We most oftentimes have 1 or 2 throughout the process, depending on what that is. I thought I heard a child. Depending on what that is, and the training is ever evolving. So some sessions come up with different asks of our coaches, different situations that come up, different scenarios, and I like to say that every session is completely different. So there is not going to be one way that we're going to be able to tell you every single thing that you're going to encounter, because the people are different. You're going to be different. You're different completely now than you were 3 months ago. So we like to say that it is ever evolving, but we definitely give you the tools and the ability to be empowered to trust your training, trust the village that you have come to know and love, and to feel confident in the fact that you can lead. One of the main questions that we get is, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't want to accept the ask because I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know. And I always go back to, well, you accepted the call to be a part of the 40-day turn-up initially. You accepted the call to enter and graduate and be successful in the Journey 3.0 Plus process. So the next step to leadership is no different. And the ask of leadership is a big ask. I mean, we're changing people's lives, and we do not take that lightly. So when you are thinking about leadership, the coach role in the 40-day turn-up may be exactly what you are looking for. I can't tell you how many hours per week, but if you think about, you have to have at least an hour meeting once a week with your team. You're going to be inputting or making certain that information is put into the system every single Saturday. You're going to be dealing day to day with your participants and things that may pop up with them. You're going to be in the Facebook group listening to Dr. Joe's lives, not including the master classes and or pre-work, which oftentimes are a little over an hour, depending on the session, depending on the class. Some classes may be 2 hours, then maybe a part 1 and a part 2. It is a time commitment. There is no set time to start. There is no set time to end. Every group has its own dynamic, and you'll feel and flow how that goes. But make certain that when you are thinking about, wow, is this a good fit for me, that you think about, do I have extra time? Do I have the time to commit to this? If you are a person who travels a lot, if you are a person who is in a travel season, if you are a person who has multiple hats that you wear in leadership positions and you want to squeeze in something else, I'm not saying that this is not the process for you, but you have to make certain that this is not a burden for you. Sometimes, unfortunately, we do have coaches that take on the responsibility and then have to drop because they feel like their other commitments not necessarily outweigh their commitment to the village, but because it's just something extra on top of things. That's also not to say that if you have nothing going on, that this is something that you can take on as well. It really just depends on your heart, and we can teach you everything else. We can help you with everything else. But if your heart is in the right place, if you're honest with yourself about the time that you want to commit to this, because the good coaches will tell you that it is a time commitment. And the coaches that are not successful, the coaches that have participants that don't necessarily get the most out of the process, which are very few and far in between, by the way. But there are some, because we're human, and humans human sometimes. But those coaches will tell you that they underestimated their ability to multitask. So if you know yourself as a person, which you should by now, because you have done so much work on yourself, you should know if multitasking is your jam. And if it's not, we appreciate you, but come back when your plate is a little less full. So the 40-day turn-up, we have coaches, and then we also have super leaders and ambassadors. So the coaches in the hierarchy, the upper leadership, coaches report directly to super leaders. Those are individuals who have a handful, maybe a couple dozen, not a handful, a couple dozen coaches, and they're just making certain that if anything goes wrong with their team, that they can escalate situations. The coach can escalate situations to the super leader. The super leader then has the option to address whatever issue is going on, or they have the ability to route it up to their ambassador. Now, the ambassador, we have a handful of ambassadors who oversee a couple dozen super leaders who oversee a couple hundred coaches. So if you're going from the bottom up, we have coaches, super leaders, ambassadors. If you're going from the hierarchy down, it goes ambassadors, super leaders, and then coaches. So there are always multi-levels of support in any process. There is no way that a coach should feel like they're alone on an island, that they do not have the support that they need. But it can be intimidating, because you're like, wow, this is a big ask. This is a big deal. And it is. I don't want to sugarcoat it. But to whom much is given, much is required. And you are a person, sir or ma'am, you are a person who has risen to occasions that you didn't even think that you could rise to, let alone other people putting limitations on you. So leadership is no different. All right, so let me move on. The journey is very much so the same, only the difference is we have journals. So we have journal entries that we read and respond to. Prior to this year, a couple of years, we used to read each journal entry and respond to each journal entry. That is not the ask as of this current video. The ask is that you read the journal entries and just make certain that the participant who sent them or whose that you read is aware that you've read them, and so they're not just pouring their heart out into a blank space with no acknowledgement. You still will have to acknowledge the meetings that you have. You still will have to make certain that they are putting their information into the system accurately. In this hierarchy, we have governors and ambassadors. So in the journey, the governors replace, as a name, the super leaders. And then the ambassadors are the same. So you'll have a couple 100 coaches. You'll have a couple dozen governors, and then you'll have a handful of ambassadors. So the hierarchy works the same way up and down. As far as time commitment for the journey, it's a little bit more, only because of the journal entries, only because of sometimes meetings run a little bit longer because you're uncovering things that are a bit more sensitive. And so a little bit more time and care has to be shown in those times. You may be doing a little bit more of reaching out individually during that time. If you are an empath and you are a person who really can't hear negative things, and it really kind of sends you into a tailspin, this may not be the process for you. If you are a person who enjoys being with people, if you are a person who doesn't mind reading journal entries, who doesn't mind going a little deeper, you feel comfortable in that space, this may be a good jam for you. And one thing I'll say here is that one of the things that I encourage every person in leadership to do is to bounce around in different processes, to see where you like, to see where you land, because the idea about a particular session and the actuality of serving in it may be completely different. So give yourself the opportunity to explore and be excited about learning something new and different. Also, with the both processes, I get the question, do I have to detox with my group? So obviously, we do a 2-day detox at the very beginning. And my mind frame is always, I get to do this. Wow, I'm so excited that I get to do this. So instead of asking, do I have to do this? The reframing and the mindset that I like to live and operate in is, wow, I'm so excited. I get to detox with my group. I get the opportunity to put myself right back in their shoes and be in the trenches with them. So when we're thinking about our spirit, which is something super important, which I'll get to now since I've already said it, but the spirit behind serving is what we really care about. Again, the spirit, the energy, the mind, the desire is what's most important in leadership. We can teach you how to make sure that the tracker is correct. We can make sure that you know how to input blood pressure and weight. We can make sure that you know how to do certain things, but we can't teach you spirit. We can't teach you energy. We can't teach you compassion. We can give you tools and tricks to enhance that. But if that is not, if you are a person who believes in tit for tat, if you are a person who believes when they go low, I go lower. If you are a person who believes that that you are not coachable, then leadership is not for you. And I say that humbly because what we have in the village is so beautiful and so precious. And we are very, very protective of it. We are very sensitive to anything and anyone that disrupts the energy that our village exudes. So, all right, so we went through the 40-day turn up. We went through the journey. Now let me get to reset. So reset is the newest process to date as it relates to the village in our 40 days. And so we have a number of opportunities within reset to showcase your leadership skills. And I have them here because there's so many of them that I can't, number one, write them down separately, but number two, remember all of them. So we have detox advisors. So these are people, when people have issues with ordering, that they would email or contact these groups of people. Usually it's 2 to 3, depending on the size of the reset session. But we have detox advisors. We have tech advisors. So these people, let me pause here and say this. So reset is the only process currently that is in Kajabi. So if you are a person who loves Kajabi, lives in Kajabi, has great experience in Kajabi, reset may go to the top of your list. 40-day turn up and journey are in Facebook. That all may change, but right now that is the case. So the tech advisors are responsible for responding to Kajabi things in Kajabi. So reset champions instead of coaches. So the leadership hierarchy in reset. I'm pausing because I want to make certain that I say the right word for the right process. So the champions in reset are responsible for the Kajabi questions that arise within Kajabi. They're responsible for uploading documents up to the system. So these are like the techies. So if you're a person that loves tech, that loves kind of getting in stuff and kind of breaking stuff and figuring out how the system works and uploading things, if you like computer work, then that may be for you. We have tracker advisors. So these people will be responsible for doing certain things with the trackers each week. They are responsible for reporting any issues upward to their upper leadership to say, hey, I've noticed a glitch in the tracker. And we all in our training, we all have specific bullet points and detailed trainings about all of them. I'm kind of just doing a high level layover so you understand, like, wow, there are really some ways that I can get involved in Reset if I so choose. We have tracker advisors. We have super advisors. So the super advisors in Reset mimic the coaches and the coaches in the 40-day turn-up and in the Journey 3.0 Plus process. So these are the people that will have 13 to 15 participants. Now, the participants in Reset are called champions. Got that? I'm certain that you do, but the lingo is important because the processes are different. The asks are very similar. The output may be slightly different, but the name and the terminology is super important because we want to be accurate, right? Like, we don't want to be called, like, my name is Lynette. So I don't want to be called Annette. I don't want to be called, Lynetta, or I don't want my name spelled with one N instead of two, how it's spelled. Like, we want to address things and processes the way that they should be. So that is why you hear me pause if you hear that. Engagement administrators. So these are the people that are solely responsible in Kajabi for engaging, because there's so many people, upwards of 2,000-ish people every single session within Reset. So these are the people that, if the super advisors, aka coaches in the other two processes, but these are the people that are going to be engaging. If people post their food, they're going to be saying, oh, wow, make certain that the next time you, post your meal, make certain that you put your macronutrient breakdown down and make sure you put your calories down. Oh, wow, that meal looks great. Or these are people that are going to save the photos of really, really great pictures of food, probably, and then route them up to a supervisor to say, hey, if you need a good example of a correct, balanced meal, this would be it. So champions, aka coaches, champions will also be required to lead meetings with their teams. So that is standard across the processes. So we still are going to have all of our foot soldier leadership, aka coaches, in the 40-day turn-up and journey, as well as the Reset champions. You're always going to meet with your team. So if you're thinking about a time commitment, like, oh, Reset, I could be a supervisor and Reset, there's so many ways that I can get involved. You're still going to have that commitment of that meeting with your champions. That is all of, like, the processes. We talked about spirit. We talked about energy. I really wanted to make this as brief as possible. If I'm talking too fast, my apologies, but my goal is not to rush this, but my goal is to be respectful and efficient with your time, which is all of what Dr. Joe is about. He's all about starting on time. He's all about, maybe he'll go over every now and again, but he definitely will let you know. In training and leadership, we have a great time. It is a great opportunity to sow back into the village that you have been so successful in. And I think far too often we have things in life that we don't find value in. We don't believe in putting our money behind it. We don't believe in putting our time behind it, yet we do it day in and day out because we're only concerned about the end. The village is so different. The village is such a special place because not only is there no judgment and no comparison, but it's one of the few places in life that I personally can say is 100% dedicated with no interest in a personal gain for someone else's personal gain. A lot of times bosses, supervisors, relationships, family, children, they are intended to enable us sometimes to not be our highest and best self. But the village is a place, as you know, that is solely dedicated to making you better. And what better way to pay it forward outside of your donations? what better way to pay it forward than to be a representation of what the village is and how beautiful it is on this side. And another thing that people don't talk about enough is being in leadership is a great way to constantly reset yourself. So you don't need to wait for reset. You don't even need reset. You just stay connected to the village. Stay connected to being in some form of leadership with a team, being some sort of way to be connected to reset in Kajabi. Being connected to the village is the best way to reset yourself and to constantly not need to reset, because you're constantly you're self-resetting. You don't need to wait for the next session of reset. So hopefully this video has been insightful to you. It has intrigued you to want to take the next step in leadership, which we hope. So after you watch this video, you have, or you will have, if you don't already, have instructions about how to proceed with next steps in leadership and how you can get involved, stay involved, and continue to grow our village. I thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it's not too long or boring. I thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate your desire to be a part of the village, and I hope to see you on the leadership side in training soon. Have a great day.